السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. رب زدني علما، اللهم فقهنا في الدين. آمين يا رب العالمين. So inshallah, today's topic is going to be something a little bit different. So far in our series, we have been covering a lot of tazkiyah topics about how to do some self-improvement. We have covered a lot of acts of ibadah, normally that we think of when we think of, doing acts of ibadah during Ramadan, like the sunnah prayers, dhikr, dua, all of these things. But today I wanted to cover something a little bit different. This is also something that is a very rewarding act. There is so much reward. But when we think of ibadah, we don't think of things like this. So this is why I wanted to point this out, because throughout Ramadan, this is also a way to get good deeds. And during Ramadan, we want to utilize whatever time we have in whatever way that we can in order to get good deeds. So this is something that a lot of people say, especially with women when they have children, when they're married. They say that, during Ramadan, I don't have time to go to Taraweeh. I don't have time to read Quran. I don't have time to do anything because I'm so busy with my family. So in certain cases like this as well, it is not in the capability of a person to do all of these acts of ibadah. They are not able to stay up all night. They are not able to do certain acts of ibadah the way that other people are, who have a little bit more free time, who have a little bit more freedom. So especially for when it comes to women, they feel that, I'm just in the kitchen, that I can't do any good deeds. I can't do this, I can't do that because I have to feed my family. So this is why I wanted to focus on feeding others and the virtue of this, because especially during Ramadan, a lot of women feel like they are missing out. They feel that, I can't do as much as someone else is doing. So this is why I wanted to mention that feeding others, especially your family or even yourself, is a very, very rewarding act, especially when it comes to the last 10 nights. Giving money and feeding people, sponsoring iftars or hosting iftars or giving money overseas for food packages. This is something that is so very rewarding. As we come to Eid, we know that there is a zakah that is meant to be given on Eid. There's money that has to be given for every single person, and this is meant to give food to someone in need. So, inshallah, today we are going to cover the virtues of feeding others so that we know that as we come to Eid, the money that we are giving, that why are we giving this money? Why do we have to give this zakah for Eid? Why is it important that we spend on others, that we feed other people? And why is it important that we feed our family even? There is virtue for this, and this is a rahmah of Allah, that even this is a mercy. Now, everyone has to feed other people. Every single mother or father has to feed their children. Everyone has to feed themselves. So, subhanAllah, it is a mercy from Allah that He is giving us so much ajr, so much reward for doing something that is a basic necessity. If we don't eat, we can't live. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful that He gives ajr even for this. So this is why today I wanted to highlight a little bit on the virtues of feeding other people, because even though it may not seem like it's an act of ibadah, it really is. When we look at the benefits of this and the virtues of this, you will see that it is a very rewarding act. And inshallah, also something we can increase upon. If we don't have time to do certain acts of goodness, certain acts of ibadah, then this is something we can easily do. If we don't have time to cook for someone, even giving money literally takes a few minutes. So giving money to give food to someone else is also very virtuous act, and also something we can add to our acts of ibadah throughout the last 10 nights. So we learn from the hadith, Abdullah bin Amr said that a man asked the Prophet, what Islamic traits are the best? And the Prophet ﷺ said, feed the people and greet those who you know and those who you do not know. So the Prophet ﷺ, that the best Islamic trait to have is to feed the people. So we learn the great virtue of this. Out of everything the Prophet ﷺ could have said, he said the best trait to have for a Muslim person is that he feeds the people. And he greets those people he knows and those people that he does not know. So he spreads the salam. And you'll see that both of these things spread love amongst the people. They spread affection amongst the people. They bring the community together, which is why these are two of the best traits that a Muslim can have. From another hadith, we learn that the best of you are those who feed others. So the best amongst the Muslim are those people who feed other people. This is the best of the Muslims. Another hadith, he is not a believer whose stomach is filled while his neighbor is hungry. So we learn from this that caring for your neighbors is also a great deed in the sight of Allah. We learn from many, many hadiths that taking care of the neighbors, taking care of the people around you is something that is required in Islam. We learn that one of the traits of that person who believes in the hereafter is that he takes care of his neighbor, that he is hospitable to his guests. So we learn from this that if your stomach is filled, meaning that you are living a good life, you ate a full meal, and you know that your neighbor is hungry, you know that they cannot afford their next meal, and you are not concerned, then this is someone who is not a believer because he is not truly taking care of the community the way that it is the people's right upon him. From the other hadith, we learn the Prophet ﷺ said, "O Abu Dhar, when you cook a stew, put more water in the broth and take care of your neighbors." So when you feel like you do not have enough food, you feel like I made enough just for myself, I don't have enough to give to other people, when we look at the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he advised that you add a little bit more water and Allah will put barakah in your food. So you add a little bit more water, you create a little bit more food, you add a little bit extra rice, or you make a little bit more and take care of your neighbors. Even if you can only give a little bit, at least take care of the people that are going hungry. And we learn that this is one of the traits of the believers, that he takes care of his neighbors. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ said that Allah, mighty and sublime be He, subhanahu wa ta'ala, will say on the day of resurrection, "O son of Adam, I asked you for food and you did not feed me." And that man will say, "O Allah, how can I feed you when you are the Lord of the worlds?" And He, Allah, will say, "Did you not know that my servant so and so asked you for food and you did not feed him? Did you not know that had you fed him, you surely would have found that the reward for doing so was with me?" So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I was hungry and I asked you for food and you did not feed me. So when someone comes to us and asks for food, it is as if Allah Himself is asking us and we are refusing Allah. When we very easily refuse people, when we see that there are people in need that are begging for money, that they don't have enough food to get by the rest of the day, and we turn them away and we try to avoid eye contact. We ignore them. We know that they are going hungry, but we don't care. And Allah is saying that I came to you and I asked you for food and you did not feed me. And when you turned that person away, you would have found me with that person. You would have found closeness with me. If you had fed that person, your reward would have been with me. And because you turned him away, then I am turning you away on this day today. So we see that from this, Allah is with the people that feed others, that take care of people, that take care of others. We learn in Surah Al-Baqarah in the ayat about giving charity, that there are people in the community that they don't beg for things, but people that believe can see them, تعرفهم بسيماهم, that they can recognize them by their signs. لا يسألون الناس إلحافا, that they don't ask people for things, but people who are smart, people who are observant, people who believe in Allah see that this person is in need. His clothes are a little raggedy. He never eats when he goes out with me. So this is something that the believer notices. He sees that these people are in need and he goes and he helps these people without them having to ask. And this is the highest form of Iman, that he is feeding people and taking care of people without them even having to ask for this. We learn that there is an ayah mentioned about the beauty of feeding people. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. And they give food in spite of love for it, meaning that they love food. They would love to keep it for themselves. They love their money and they don't want to give their money. But despite this love, they still give for the sake of Allah. And they give it to the needy, the orphan, and the captive. And they say, إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ, that we feed you only so that we can see the face of Allah, for the countenance of Allah. لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا, that we don't want from you either reward or gratitude. A lot of the times when we give things to people, we think that, she didn't even say thank you to me. I paid for her food and she didn't even say thank you. I always give her food and she never gives me anything back. And then because of this, we refuse to give to people anymore. We say that, I'm not giving either. She doesn't give to me. Why would I give to her? She's never done this for me. Why should I do that for her? And when we see the attitude of the believers here, it says, لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا, that we don't want anything back from you. We don't even want gratitude from you. You saying thank you is not going to do anything for me. We want the reward of Allah. This is why we are doing this. لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ, for the sake of Allah, so we can see Allah's face on Yawm al-Qiyamah. This is why they feed people, despite their love of food, despite their love of money. They feed people and they don't expect anything from others. A lot of the times we do good for people, but we expect things back. We give gifts expecting that they will give us gifts back, or we give food expecting that they will give us food back, or at the very least, at least say thank you. We think that, she didn't even say thank you. I'm never going to give her money again. I know she's in need, but I'm not giving her money. She never said thank you to me. So this is not a thinking that we should have. Mention inna nakhafu min rabbina yawman abusan qamtarira. Indeed, we fear from our Lord a day that is austere and distressful. فَوَقَاهُمُ اللَّهُ شَرَّ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ. So Allah will protect them from the evil of that day. وَلَقَّاهُمْ نَضْرَةً وَسُرُورًا. And He will give them radiance and happiness. وَجَزَاهُمْ بِمَا صَبَرُوا جَنَّةً وَحَرِيرًا. And He will reward them for what they patiently endured with a garden and clothes of silk. SubhanAllah, these ayat are so beautiful, and we learn from this the virtue of feeding other people. That Allah specifically mentions it in this verse, that they feed people without expecting anything, without expecting reward, without expecting gratitude from people, because they know what Allah will give them is best. Allah will multiply this for them. Allah will put barakah in their food. When you are not stingy with your food, Allah puts more barakah in your food. When you are not stingy with your money, Allah puts more barakah in your money, where you have more. Sometimes when you are so worried about your food that, I don't have enough for today, then you really don't have enough. And when you think that, I have enough, people can come, people will eat. And Allah will make more. Allah will satisfy everyone. It really does happen. Allah puts barakah in that food. And when we do give to other people, we should not be expecting any reward from anyone. Whether people give us something in return or not, whether people thank us or not, it should not matter, because we are not looking for anything from them. We are looking for the wajh of Allah, the face of Allah, the countenance of Allah. This is what we are looking for. From another hadith, we learn that whichever believer feeds a hungry believer, Allah feeds him from the fruits of paradise on Yawm al-Qiyamah. So on that day, we learn that people will be thirsty, people will be hungry, the days will be so long, and Yawm al-Qiyamah will stretch on for what feels like years. And on that day, the person who feeds someone else, someone who is hungry, Allah will feed him on that day, and He will take care of him on that day with the fruits of Jannah. And we learn from the hadith, what you feed yourself is sadaqah for you. Subhanallah, everyone needs to eat. And Allah here is saying that you eating, you feeding yourself is a sadaqah for you. This is rahmah from Allah. This is mercy from Allah. What you feed your child is sadaqah for you. And of course, if you have a child, you have to feed them. This is your duty as a parent. And subhanAllah, Allah gives you ajr for this. He is considering this a sadaqah, that you are feeding your own child, that you are feeding yourself. What you feed your wife is sadaqah for you. What you feed your servant is sadaqah for you. So feeding people is a form of sadaqah. And for a lot of women, you will see that when they know that they have to cook, they feel very bad that, the guys in the family are being able to go and pray in the masajid, they are being able to read Quran, and I have to make iftar, I have to make suhoor, I have to cook for people. And they feel very upset about this, that they feel that it's unfair, that I have to do all this and the guys don't have to do anything. When Allah here is saying that this is sadaqah for you, that you get so much ajr from doing this. So we should not hate having to feed people. We should not hate this act. We should be doing it gratefully. We should be doing it with expectation of reward from Allah, that while we do it, we remember Allah and think that, Ya Allah, I am doing this for you. Make this intention that you are doing it for the sake of Allah, and Allah will reward you. So here we learn that everything that you do, even feeding yourself, is sadaqah for you. And this is a rahmah from Allah. This is mercy from Allah, that He gives you ajr simply for eating. Subhanallah. We learn from the other hadith, no Muslim plants a tree or sows a seed, and then a bird or a human or an animal eats from it, but that it is charity for him. This is considered a form of sadaqah jariyah, when we plant a tree or when we make a water well, and when people, every single time they come by and they eat from this tree or they drink from this water, you will get ajr for this. Even after you have passed away, this is a sort of perpetual charity, that as long as that tree remains, as that fruit tree remains, or the shade of that tree remains, or that water well remains, anytime anyone benefits from this, you will get ajr for this. So we learned that feeding someone does not always mean making a meal and feeding someone. This can also mean giving money for a water well in some place where they don't have clean water. Or this means planting a tree. Even a lot of people love gardening, and they don't realize that when you garden, if you have the correct attentions, then Allah will reward you even for this. For your hobbies, Allah will reward you. This is also rahmah from Allah. So we should have this thinking as well, that I am planting trees, or I will pay money for someone to plant a tree, or I will have my own garden and I will feed the community with this. When you have a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, give to other people as well. And this is also a form of increasing love and also a charity from you, a sadaqah jariyah that inshallah Allah will reward. And the Prophet ﷺ said that whoever provides iftar for a fasting person during Ramadan, then that shall be a forgiveness for his sins and freedom from the fire. And for such a feeder shall be the same reward as the one who fasted, without the person's reward being decreased in the least. So also something that a lot of people feel is that, they're not able to fast during Ramadan and they think that I don't have a reward. I didn't get the reward of fasting today. So the answer to this is that you feed someone, make iftar for someone, give someone a date, have them break their fast, and you will get the ajr of that person who fasted. So if you do feel that, because for any reason you are not able to fast, for example, you were menstruating and you are not able to fast, don't feel bad that I was not able to fast today. Instead, what you can do is that you can feed someone and you can get that same ajr, you can get that same reward. And also in these last 10 nights, try to sponsor iftars as well. Try to sponsor iftars in places where people do not have food. They don't know when their next meal is coming from. And there are so many packages, so many organizations that are open during these last 10 nights for people and they are begging for food. These people have not seen proper food in so many days and they are in desperate need of sustenance. So give money and provide iftar for these people, and Allah will give you the reward of every single person who breaks your fast with that food that you provided. And Allah will also forgive your sins and the freedom from the fire. Inshallah, may Allah make us amongst these people who are very open and very generous, and that we are not stingy at all when it comes to our food, when it comes to our wealth. And that may Allah allow us to attain all of these benefits that we have covered today in this class. Inshallah, we will end here for today. Jazakallahu khairan kathiran. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.